Okay, so I'm just going to do a video. I did this video yesterday, but it wasn't very clear, and I took too long and I made mistakes. So anyway, okay, I'm just going to do a video today on how I remembered part of my past life. I remembered how some of the Irish towns' names are also named after roses. So I'm going to start with this town here. So I drove through this town, which is called Rosscarbery, and as I drove through the town, I saw the sign and read the sign, and the Ross jumped out at me and the letters changed to Rose, and I thought, wow, well that would make a lot of sense given my past life memory. So when I came home, I looked up Rosscarbery online, and I read this description, and it said on Wikipedia that Rosscarbery is Irish for Carberry's Wood. So that didn't really tie in with my belief that the name originated from Rose. So I then looked up the meaning of rose in Ireland, and when I looked up the meaning of rose in Ireland, I got Ross. So there was a chance that Rosscarbery also meant the Rose of Carbery. So then I looked up the name Ross in Ireland. So here we have the name in Ross, and these are other family spellings and variants of the name, and we have Rose, Rose, Roos and Ruse. So Ross does actually mean rose as well. So I don't believe that Rosscarbery means Carberry's Wood. I believe it means Carberry's Rose, which would also mean Carberry's heart, or the resurrection of Carberry's heart. So and then when I tried to make a video on this the other day, this one I'm doing again because it was a bit bitty, I read this, which I hadn't read before, and interestingly it says that the area has been occupied from very early times, as is evidenced by Neolithic remains such as portal dolmens, and this area is very strong in Bronze Age remains, including a number of stone circles. There are also 2 inscribed stones in Burgeratia. The number of ring forts and holy wells witness the Iron Age and transition from the old to the new Christian God. Okay, but this is where it gets really interesting. So Rosscarbery was home to the School of Ross, and the School of Ross was a monastic institution located in what is now called Rosscarbery, County Cork, Ireland. Wait a minute. Said something more. A major learning centre at the time, being a university town and one of the major cities in Europe around the 6th century. Due to its popularity as a centre of pilgrimage, it was known as Wood of the Pilgrims. Now, I don't believe it was known as Wood of the Pilgrims. I believe it was known as Rose of the Pilgrims, Heart of the Pilgrims, Resurrection of the Pilgrims. And it would be School of the Rose, School of the Heart, School of the Resurrected Christ. Okay, so it's not Wood, it's, in my understanding, it's School of the Rose. The hereditary chieftains of the area, or Tuath, were the O'Learys. So I'm skipping some of it because I can't pronounce the Irish. You can read this yourself. The entire region had belonged to the ancient clan, I can't read their name, sorry Irish people, of whom the O'Learys were one of the leading sects. It's interesting as well there, the Tuath, because that sounds a bit like Tuath de Danann. So Tuath is the old Irish term for the basic political and unit of Gaelic Island, Tuath can refer to both a geographical territory as well as the people who lived in that territory. Okay, the town itself has witnessed unprecedented growth in recent times. Now I'm going to skip that bit. Let's just see what else it says about the 6th century, because that's where it gets interesting. No, I'm going to leave it at that for now, because that says a lot in itself. So Rosscarbery, which is a very small town now, and there's not a lot happening. It's a beautiful place, but there's not a lot happening there. This was a university town, one of the major cities in Europe. So it was like a heart of Europe in the 6th century, and due to its popularity as a centre of pilgrimage, it was known as the wood of the pilgrims, the rose of the pilgrims, the heart of the pilgrims. So this was big. Now, why would a town be named after a rose? Well, the one that I immediately jumped to was that a town is the heart of the people, like the people that congregate in an area. A town will develop from those people, and that's a connection point, it's a meeting point, and hearts are connection points. So this would be a centre, and hearts are centres, so this would be like a heart of the people. And this is something that's missing in our towns now. Like our towns, as we've been going through the age of the ego and the solar plexus and our own free will, our towns have become more about capitalism, and often the heart of the town is abandoned, and replacing it is a supermarket somewhere where everybody congregates, but there's no actually sharing of their heart there. There's no true connection. It's just a transaction where they give their energy away and somebody profits. It's a master and slave type reality. So it would have been a heart. Now the other interpretation that I can think of is that Carbery. Now, what is Carbery? Does it tell us what Carbery is? The other interpretation is some like saintly figure. So a saint, basically, originally a saint would have been somebody that had arisen from the dead, somebody that had raised their kundalini and had activated their heart, and so they had a connection both to the physical and the earthly realms, so they could interpret spiritual scriptures correctly. So perhaps Carbery was some kind of saintly figure, and this is named after him. Like, I should do more research before I babble, really, but anyway, that would be one thing. So I'm just going to show you the next thing that I looked at was the map of Ireland. I'm going to bring that down. A map of Ireland. So when I looked at the place names, now this isn't a very good example. I'm a bit lazy, really. So it doesn't have all the place names, but we can see that there are a few anyway on this map. If we found a more detailed one, we'd find more, but we have here Rosslare Harbour, we have Rosscarbery down here, Rosscarbery, we have, what else do we have? Right in the centre we have Roscommon, we have, there's a place down here called New Ross, Rosslare Harbour. So yeah, my understanding that the Ross in these words, which we've been told means wood, actually meant rose. And it's interesting, why would rose be hidden from the name? Why would that happen? Well, one reason that would happen is because if we were originally taught that the resurrected Christ was a blossoming rose that blossomed at the heart, and we transferred that understanding to a man that's going to come and save us, then what that means is we are seeking something outside of ourselves to come and save us, when in actual fact the Saviour is our connection to our own hearts. Our Saviour is to bring balance and harmony within ourselves between our heaven and earthly realms, which are reflected outside of us in our physical experience from our experience within. So it's very important to hide the fact that we used to learn that the resurrected Christ was a rose. But anyway, so I carry on. So what else was there? Was there something else? I have to do another video on this really, but yeah, I'll do another video on that. So this one is interesting. Yeah, I'm going to try and keep this as short as possible because my video is a bit long. So this one is, I got this image from a book by Dan Winter. It's a brilliant book. I bought the book after my Kundalini awakening because I wanted to find something that had both a spiritual and a scientific explanation for what I was experiencing. And his book is brilliant. Let me anyway, in his book he has this image of this rose, and I had the book at the very same time that I had the experience of driving through Ross Carberry and seeing the sign change to Rose Carberry. So it blew my mind when I received his book through the post and found this image of a map inside the book. And basically this is a map of Prague, and the map of Prague is done in the shape of a rose. So it wasn't just in Ireland that towns and cities were considered roses. This was all over Europe. I mean, it was all over the world, but in other cultures, the expression of that faith would have been more in alignment with that environment. But essentially, at this time, universally, we would have had the same faith. And here again we can see the map of Prague in the shape of a rose. And this is interesting because it's got an outline on it and it's a little bit like a start fort. I don't know if there's any connection, but there you go. And then here's another one showing a rose. And then is this Prague as well? Yeah, that's Prague as well. And again it's got this outline on it that's a bit like a star fort. So anyway, I'm keeping that really short and simple, but I think this is really exciting news that Ireland was a place where people would flock from all over Europe to learn about the teachings of the rose, the resurrected Christ. If this video isn't making any sense, School of the Rose here. So if this video isn't making any sense, then you probably have to watch some of my other videos because I can't put it all in, but I have done videos on the teachings of the cross that would explain my understanding of these teachings of the rose. And I got all my information through past life memory, and yeah, I'm just sharing it. So I'm just going to leave it at that for now. Thank you.